Hi everyone, Mark from Audio Pursuit, and today I want to talk to you about another piece of vintage gear, the Technics SLJ2 linear tracking turntable. Now, I had seen linear trackers since the 1980s when they came out and was fascinated by them, but I also knew their limitations. And when I got back into vinyl, about 8 years ago, I managed to get a hold of a Riga RP1 with an Ortofon Super OM20 cartridge. It was a great combination. But as you can see from my videos, I suffer from tremors. And in the past couple of years, the problems increased with it. And it was getting very hard to drop the needle. So I finally had to recognize that it was time for a change. So anyhow, I went searching and I thought, hey, linear trackers would be fun to have. Now, there's one problem with linear trackers. There just isn't a whole lot of decent cartridges. For a lot of people, they said, hey, the Ortofon OM, I think it was a 5 or something, I wish I could remember them, was probably the best P-mount cartridge available. Well, then one day I was searching on some forums and someone said, hey, the Stanton 3000 is a great cartridge. So with that information about the Stanton 3000 cartridge, I kind of had that squirreled back in my mind. And I went looking on, of all places, eBay. I was kind of looking for ones. And one of the pieces of advice I got off the forums was, if they say it lights up and they can hear the motor, but the tone arm is not tracking across, chances are it needs a new belt. And belts are still readily available. So sure enough, over a couple of weeks, I saw a few different ones. And I settled in on this SLJ2. I did some emailing back and forth with the seller, and yep, everything else on it works. Plus, the nice thing about the SLJ2 is the fact that it has jacks instead of an RCA cable. So you can choose the type of cables you want to use with it. And I happen to like the Audio Art IC3s. So with that information in mind, bought the turntable. I think it was right around $60 plus about $15 shipping. Now, in order to replace the belt on an SLJ2 and a few other models, others have a little different procedure. Basically, you take out these little tabs off the end on each side, lift the cover off, and then you can see the full linear tracking motor and rails. Sure enough, I looked, the belt was toast. It was lying there, broken and so forth. Then when I picked it up, it was dry and hard. Well, I ordered some belts. Now, friendly tip for you, when you order replacement belts for linear trackers, get them in like a 3 to a 5 pack, because chances are you will break one, just like I did. The other tip is to make sure you get some graphite spray for the rails. Saw that online. So put on a new belt, and the key is on these belts, they have a kind of a groove shape to them, so you got to make sure they don't twist, and that takes a little bit of time. And if you have trimmers like I do, it takes even longer. But got that set up, put on nicely, took a couple of tries. Got the graphite spray on the rails, put the cover back on, and sure enough, it worked great. Now the next step was, how good condition was the cartridge in? Well, I have a couple of doubles of albums. One of them has a little bit more pops than others, so I put that on, played it, and let me tell you, that Stanton cartridge, well worth it. I can see why so many people think it was probably the best P-mount out there. So here's how it looks. So you turn on the front, and you notice it's got a 0 here. That only changes when you decide to skip tracks. Other than that, it'll always stay at 0. So across here, you've got the repeat button, lifting the tone arm, the cueing. You have skip search, so you can skip forward or skip back. Start, and then stop. I'm going to play a little bit of Elton John. I woke this evening with the smell of smoke clinging, Indian sunset. Like a gentle cobweb hanging on a flame's head deeply. Oh, I went to see. Now let's cue forward. With my war lamp and my woman. Oh, he told us that the yellow moon. Now lifts up. And it'll drop it close. Now, sometimes it's a little off. It may drop it just before the end of the previous song. Let's see how it does here. As you can hear, just the last 3 or 4 seconds. So its alignment's pretty good. So as you can see, and that's how the linear tracker works. It goes across. Now, why didn't linear trackers stay super popular? I think a couple of reasons was they were limited on the quality of the cartridge. The linear tracker system itself, some manufacturers had a little bit more trouble than others. And then, of course, the big one was the advent of the CD player. And like many people, when I bought my first CD player, I foolishly sold all my vinyl. And that was probably 150 albums. And a lot of those I had played just once and recorded on the cassette and put them away. I could still just smack myself for that. But hey, it's fun again to go searching for music. And, you know, I've gone to used record stores, Goodwill, just wherever I can find them. And I found some pretty good quality. You just take your time to look. And at the used record stores, play it on one of their turntables so you can hear for yourself if the vinyl is worth it. So this little unit here, it does just fine. I listen to vinyl about once a week. I'm not engrossed in it, so I don't need to have a really advanced setup. For me, it's just sheer enjoyment, nothing more. So if you're thinking about getting a turntable and just enjoying vinyl for the sheer sake of it, don't be afraid to consider a linear tracker. If you're just slightly mechanical, like I am, you'll do just fine. So until next time, take care.